Hey, this is Ray from Trys10 Studios, and today I want to talk about why did we choose Unity for our game engine for Charlie, so the sketchy adventures of Charlie the Chunk, and why did we choose this sketchy art style? Well, Unity game engine I've been using since 2013. I have used Godot, I have used Unreal, mostly Unreal for prototyping. Godot I have completed an entire project in. It's like an asteroid-based game, which to me is kind of like my own personal hello world of a game engine. That way I can get a feel for what it's like and if I like it or not. And so Unity is good for PC, WebGL, Xbox, Android games, the list goes on. But it's really, really easy for me to make Android games with it. And that's what we started Charlie as. And so we prototyped in that way. And now we've decided just to keep it a PC game because the mobile market's kind of a little wishy-washy for games right now, at least for us. We're for a no-name studio trying to put a game out, it's a little crowded. So Steam just seems like the better option for us. Unity is quite versatile. It has 2D and 3D, of course, and so does Unreal and Godot. And however, I feel like for our needs, Unity covered those very well. It's not overkill, and it does try to do a lot of things at once, but it does them pretty well. And it's not without its problems. I mean, everything has its issues. But for me, Godot, I don't know very well. I know enough about Godot to get it done, but we already had started. I'll just say this. We started Charlie in 2021, and we started that in Unity, and so much of the mechanics and stuff is done, the core mechanics, that it just didn't feel like a good idea to start over again. Also, when I used the Tobii controller, when I had the Tobii X controller and I was developing games for my son to play, they had built-in components. When I say they, Tobii had built-in components for Unity, and so that was pretty much a no-brainer. It integrates directly with what they're doing, and you just basically make your game as normal and then add those features, and you're good to go. Yeah, I've even used GB Studio, and GB Studio, if you don't know, is a Game Boy Studio. It's a Game Boy Studio game engine, and you can actually make games directly for Game Boy cartridges, which is pretty cool. GB Studio was designed to make Game Boy games, but make it easier, so it's very simple to set up a game. I mean, it took me no time to set up a prototype. I mean, like a day, and I had a prototype set up, which was pretty cool. So if you want to get into any kind of game development and you don't want to use Game Studio, you can try GB Studio, and there's a lot of tutorials out there. It's really good. And you don't really need to know how to program. You just need to understand programming concepts, but you'll learn those as you go. The reason that we chose this sketchy style was so that it would speed up game development and prototyping and all that stuff, but also because it would be finished almost at the same time we prototype. And we were going for something similar to Cuphead, but just not necessarily that polished, more of an unfinished product. But that's what drew us to create Charlie's world as a sketch world. Because it's not finished, you can kind of get away with more mistakes in his world because it's sketchy. This also was the driving force behind the story. And then to connect the levels together rather than just having an overworld map or level 1, level 2, that kind of thing. We decided to use comic-inspired images interstitially. So between levels, we're going to have an image of Charlie going from one level to the next. So it feels more like you're playing a book or a story than you are, a sequential set of levels. Anyway, yes, that's pretty much it. That's why we chose Unity Game Engine. It's pretty versatile. I'm not saying I think all game engines are good. All the game engines that I've used are good. They're just different purposes. GB Studios for Game Boy games. Godot is really good for independent, or if you prefer Python style languages, because that's what that is. GD script, which is Godot's scripting language, is very much like Python. And then if you're already comfortable with Unity, why change? Unless, I know all the drama they had recently, but that's also obviously why I consider Godot as well. They've since gone back on that, but we'll see. I'm keeping Godot in the back pocket. But Unreal, I just don't have a lot of experience with, and I know that it's overkill for a 2D game like this. GameMaker wouldn't suit my purposes. I need more control. GB Studio could be, I think for me, it's a bit limited for what I'm doing, but there are a lot of projects I have in mind that could work really well in GB Studio. So you just have to choose the engine that works for your project, not the other way around. A lot of people think Unity's better because this, but you just need to know what you're doing with your project and pick the one that fits your project best. So you might use multiple game engines if you follow that, Like I have a game called Hiker Zombies I want to do, and it's going to be a horror survival game. Think Call of Duty zombies, but with hikers and it's a whole different gameplay. It's not going to be the same game, but I'm saying it's a similar type of thing where you're just surviving hordes of zombies. And so anyway, I think that Unreal Engine would be a really good choice for it because Unreal has beautiful, 3D assets that are free. I mean, they get thousands of them. I can't even remember what the number is. There's a lot of trees and rocks and all this stuff that I can make it look absolutely unreal. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. For now, that's the reason we chose Unity Engine, and that's the reason we chose the art style that we picked. And that's just for this series. If we decide to keep it a series, if we decide to go forward with it more, that's why we chose to do it that way. If we did do a second game, it would probably be based on color, and Charlie would be more polished. So we shall see how that goes. So if you like silly games, if you like video games, you like game dev vlogs, which is what this is. This is what I'm going to try to cover. Everything game related, animation, 2D artwork, music, anything game related as an indie. Everything that I fail at doing and succeed, hopefully, I'm going to share with you. So if you want like any of that stuff, subscribe, comment, like, share, and thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.